Are you curious what it's like to own a card shop? Do you want to know the good and the bad and what that is like and what the future might hold? If so, then this episode is for you. Hello, and here we go. Welcome to another episode of The Geoff Wilson Show. Owning a card shop is a dream for many. I know I have had that dream ever since getting back into the sports card hobby. If you love sports cards and you want to spend more time on sports cards, then maybe you want to work in the sports card business. And maybe working in the sports card business could involve starting your own card shop. This has become fashionable. There are many new card shops popping up, it seems like every single month all across the country. But is it a good move to start your own card shop? Can you actually make money with it? Is it a good entrepreneurial venture? What are the pitfalls? Because you know, with any business, there is always the downside. There are always the pitfalls and the things to watch out for. I wanted to explore all of these questions today, and I could not think of any better person to explore those questions with than Joe Davis of GotBaseballCards from here in Atlanta. He has owned his card shop for 32 years, making him an absolute proven expert on this subject. Joe, welcome back. Welcome to another Geoff Wilson Show.
Great to be back, Geoff.
I'm excited to have you in the studio, and I'm excited to explore this topic because you are a veteran card shop owner. And as you look around the landscape of card shop owners, you're probably seeing a lot of new guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Which is great.
And not that many from your, when you started your shop, right?
Right. Yeah, Rob Harris and I talked at the industry summit last year, and we were like, Rob, remember back in the day when we knew everyone here, and now it's like we know like 20% of them. So because there were years that would go on and like it was the same guys, around the country that we had known for decades, and so it's great seeing all the new store owners coming into the industry.
Yeah, it's fun. Rob Harris, of course, the longtime owner of Burbank Sports Cards, and one of the best shops out on the West Coast, out in LA, super popular shop. You started your shop here 32 years ago, right? What, and that was, I guess, right? We were still kind of in the junk wax era, right? We still had the popularity boom that was going on at that moment. Is that what inspired you to start it? Was it the popularity at that time, your own personal excitement? What got you into it?
It was honestly, I'd started doing shows in college in 1987. Started promoting shows, and then I graduated from college in 1991. And my dream had always been to open my own store, but I never thought things would really fall into place financially to be able to do it. And then literally about 3 to 4 weeks before I was graduating from college, from Berry College up in Rome, I had a call from a friend that I had done shows with. He was working at a card store in Avondale. He said, hey, the owner's going to close. We have a chance to buy his store. He'll sell us all the fixtures at cost, and we can kind of to step into owning a store really cheaply. And so I talked to my then fiance about it, talked to my parents about it, and prayed about it. And I was like, okay, we're going to go for it. And so we opened a little 500 square foot store in Avondale Estates. In literally the week I graduated from college, we opened the store, and so was there bought him out a few years later. Then moved the business in 1998 to Snellville, and then moved to Loganville when we bought our own property in 2018. And so we've moved from 500 feet to about 11,000 now over the years.
Gosh, 11,000 square feet now. That's incredible. Starting at 500 square feet. I mean, that right there is an incredible story. Like to, start a card shop coming right out of college and scrapping it together to make it happen. And then, here we are, you got a giant shop here in the Atlanta area, which is incredible. But all of those years must not have been even. I mean, you've right now we're kind of in a boom time, like we were maybe when you first opened. But there were, I imagine, some pretty lean years in between.
There were a lot of lean years.
Yeah. How do you keep a card shop operating through that?
Well, I can tell you we had plenty of close calls over the years. Honestly, the first few years were very tough. I mean, there was no internet. I mean, we had a little 500-foot store, and we were trying to provide income for two people. And so the first few years were very tough.
So even though cards were still relatively popular, and I think the popularity was starting to die a little bit, right?
It was. We'd had the spike. Basically, you're starting around 87.
Right.
The sports card boom of the 80s really started like with 84 with, Mattingly. All his stuff took off, and then we saw that spike, and so we were kind of on the tail end of that first spike when we opened in 91. But again, you had to move a lot of product. Back then, we were buying upper deck boxes at $20-something and resell them for in the low 30s. So you're making $10 a box. You got to move a lot of product to help provide income for two people.
And as you said, no internet.
Yeah, there was
so it was just what you could sell in your physical store.
Yeah, so I started advertising in Sports Collectors Digest. We would break product down and sell team sets and stuff like that. So we started doing mail order very early, but it was mainly the retail store, shows, and mail order. There was no internet to sell on.
Right. Interesting. Okay. And so that, as you said, it started a little tough at the beginning. How did it progress? I know you were one of the first to get on eBay in the late 90s, right? Did that, but I don't know how popular that was at first for sports cards. Like, did that start to revolutionize your business a little bit?
Yeah, it was very good. In the late 90s, we launched, I think December 2nd of 98, I remember, was our first day selling on eBay. And within a couple of years, we were moving large volumes of cards on eBay, both graded cards, unopened boxes, etc. And so that was good. Business was good. As I remember historically, from 98 to 2001, it was pretty good. After 9/11, our business, like many businesses, suffered. The economy tanked for a while. Mid 2000s were really tough. Honestly, most of the 2000s were tough until we were on the verge of bankruptcy. We were in six-figure debt. The business was. But I just believed in what we were doing. I passionately love the hobby, and love the things we get to do, the way we get to assist collectors. And so I was determined to hang on. We started to see a little bit of improvement. Once we got around 2014, 2015, 2016, we really started to see improvement in the hobby. So those who say, oh, the COVID boom is what saved the industry, and I tell them, like, no, I was in it way before that. And we started to see a turnaround in the teens, and we were seeing steady improvement year after year, 15, 16, 17. We were seeing improvement. 18 was good, 19 was better, and so forth. And so, but we had a lot of struggles, and it's tough. It was tough then. It's tough now. You can't just open a door and say, well, I'm going to get me some direct accounts, make a bunch of money. It's not. If speaking to someone who might want to open a store, I would say be ready to work 80 to 100 hours a week. I still do 32 years later, and you better love it passionately, because there's plenty of tough days. And if you don't hold on to the reason you're there and the reason you're doing it, I do it now. I love the team that I get to work with. I have one of the best teams, I believe the best team in the industry that I work with, and we get to serve collectors beyond just selling. And so that's one of the things that keeps us going, is we get to serve and help collectors with grading. We get to help them with consignment. And so those kind of things that we've put in over the years and focus on serving over selling has really been the thing that's helped us grow.
Yeah. What an incredible story. Like periods of debt, being on the verge of bankruptcy. Well, what kept you going through that? Like, why didn't you throw in the towel? Why did you believe that somehow the market in your store was going to turn around, when I'm sure all of the numbers were telling you otherwise?
Yeah, a lot of it goes to my faith and just praying, like, Lord, is this what I'm supposed to still do, or is it time to hang it up? And I never felt like it was time to give in, to just quit and drop the ball and move on to something else. I did. I've served in ministry roles. I had other jobs at times going on, which helped supplement what we were doing at the store. But I never thought I was supposed to just get out. I had a couple of close calls where we had people interested in buying when times were tough, and we explored things, but that never worked out. And now in hindsight, I'm thankful it didn't, because of what we get to do today. Today I'm still like a kid in the store. The national that we just came off of was the most exciting, most fun national I've ever been a part of. And, I get up every day, and I never know whether I'm going to walk in and see Mantle rookies, or I'm going to get to help. Like we recently had a couple fly in from Michigan with their T206 collection. and they needed help getting it graded and then sold. And I had another client come in with his 1948 Leaf set, and we just graded his Satchel Paige and Jackie Robinson rookie and sold it. And I'm like, we're getting to help these families who found cardboard treasures in their attic. And so that keeps you going.
That's cool. I mean, that just sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Are there things that still walk in the store that surprise you these days, though? You've been doing it for 32 years. I would think at this point you've seen probably just about every card in just about every situation.
There's still times that I'm amazed. I'll never forget a client from Florida who flew up on his own plane, and he walked in, and I cracked the first box, and on top of it's a bunch of 88 Donruss and 89 Donruss. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Like, this guy flew in on his plane to bring me some 80s Donruss sets. But then I'm still digging, and I'm like, oh, okay, here's a 49 Bowman set, and here's a partial 52 set, and you know, and he ended up grading thousands of cards with us, then consigning them to us, and I think I've paid him over $300,000 probably.
Wow.
Over time, you know, over a couple of years. So
maybe he put those 89 Donrusses on top just to mess with you.
Maybe, because I thought, oh no, I'm going to disappoint another customer. But
I'm sure as a card shop owner, unfortunately, you have to deal with lots of people showing up with their 1980s junk wax collections, assuming they're worth $1 million.
Mm-hmm. Literally today, as I've been in your studio, I had a phone call where someone was at our shop with a lot of 89 Donruss, 90 Topps Fleer. It's still very common. There's still plenty of that out there.
Yeah, no, that's unfortunate. All right, well, let's fast forward to now, because now you've got the shop going on. You made a comment a minute ago that was interesting. You said, it's not, even today, it's not as easy as just getting direct accounts and opening your door and all of a sudden you're making money, right?
Sure.
How does the sports card shop make money? Like, is it on wax reselling from direct accounts? I know you do grading. Is it single sales? Is it eBay sales? And I know every shop is different, but what are the different ways, and where are you maybe stronger, than not?
Yeah. Well, for anyone watching, years ago, you probably know who Jay Abraham is, a great marketing guru. And he taught a principle called the Parthenon approach to business, which was building your business upon multiple pillars of support. And so I really took that to heart. And so, when I look at our current business model, we have a very successful retail store 6 days a week. We're open, I think, 46 hours a week now. We also have our eBay sales, where we have about 300,000 items on eBay at any given time. That's another pillar. We have our consignment business, where collectors will consign their cards to us. So we make a small margin, but it helps them and it provides another type of cash flow for us. We have our bulk submission business that y'all work with us on, where we help some customers and collectors submit cards to PSA, BGS, SGC, CGC, and so small margin, large volume. So soon we're going to be doing eBay live streaming, having a streaming platform there. We'll be doing that very soon. So as far as like direct accounts, that's changed dramatically with the changes that Fanatics has made over in the last year. We used to be able to, there were a little better margins in the past than there are now. Now we're at a point where with some products, it used to be I ordered every single product as much as I could get, both from direct and from distributors. And now it's like I literally sit there and I go, let me see what this product did last year. Like, is this, can we move any of this? And, especially when it's weaker retail products for us that I don't think we're going to be able to move much in retail. And like, is there any market for this, locally? Because there are new restrictions on, where you've discussed this on some of your shows, where hobby shop owners can resell product. There are changes to that now. So we have to be more selective now. And whatever happens with the lawsuits between Fanatics and Panini could impact that more, depending on what happens down the road, and which brands they take over or don't take over, and which products we can buy from Fanatics and which ones from Panini and so forth. So, but selling product from direct accounts, yes, is a profit margin, is a profit center if I make the right decisions. Sometimes it's a loss leader, because there's been plenty I've lost money on as well. So.
Well, and it's good to hear though that was only one, as you said, just one pillar of a bunch of pillars, and a lot of those pillars you mentioned, you are not affected by another business's decision on margins or that kind of thing, right? Like, if you're really dependent on selling wax to make your money, a change to the profit margin that Fanatics or Topps or Panini or Upper Deck or whomever is going to allow you to have Leaf, that could substantially impact your business.
Oh yeah.
But if you've got other pillars, if you've got grading, like as you said you do, that you do a huge pre-screening and bulk grading submission business. If you have online sales, singles, all these different things, these are all different ways. Maybe I assume at times certain lines of businesses are up and maybe other lines of businesses are down in terms of profitability.
Definitely.
But because you have the multi-tiered approach,
right,
you're able to persevere.
Yeah, and buying too, buying collections. If you can be strategic about what collections you buy, what margins. There's others in the industry who are flippers, who are constantly paying X% and reselling it at 1.1x whatever. We do actively buy large collections. We're now, one change in our model is that we're now actively doing more shows. We're trying to be strategic about which major regional shows. We're going to be going to the Burbank show, and then Dallas, and then Nashville, upcoming major shows that we'll be attending, both to buy, to sell, and to represent our brand and take submissions from collectors.
I was going to ask about that. Do you make a lot of money off the shows, or is it, because I know obviously if you go to a show like Burbank, I mean, coming from Atlanta, like that's across the whole country. You're flying out a team, you got all your cards. I mean, I imagine that is not a cheap show to get out to and then to set up at for a card show, for a card shop in Atlanta, to go to the Burbank show. So are you trying to make money at a show like that, or is that more of a marketing play, or is it a little bit of both?
It's more marketing. It was kind of like my son Josh and I talked about it. We wanted to go to buy anyway. So I was like, okay, if we're going to go to buy anyway, we might as well set up. We might as well promote our brand, promote the Got Baseball Cards brand, take submissions on site that we can handle for collectors who want to submit with us, and we're only going to have 24 feet there. So we've just got 3 tables, but be able to promote our brand, sell some cards while we're at it, have some fun out in Anaheim, and see a lot of old friends on the West Coast that we don't get to see that often. But yeah, it's more about marketing and branding than it is profitability for that one.
Yeah.
If we're driving to Nashville, that's a different story.
Right.
We can load up, cargo van and haul a lot of inventory there very affordably.
Yeah.
So it's different, and same with the Culture Collision coming up in January. It's an Atlanta area show. So some of them are more marketing. The National is the same way. I mean, we had 10 people working in our booth at the National. That's a lot of hotel rooms. That's a lot of travel, and the booth rental and so forth. So there's a lot of expense there, but you just can't. I believe, like, if you're going to be a major player in the industry, you need to be at the National.
Yeah, no, 100%. And people, find out about your brand. You got a good website, GotBaseballCards.com. Right. And a lot of people know about your store. We've got, and I want to mention the grading promotion we do together for anybody who wants to submit their cards to, PSA or SGC or BGS, and have Joe's team pre-screen them for you. And there's other advantages like free return shipping. Go to sportscardinvestor.com and click on grading in the main menu bar, and it will tell you all about the partnership that we have with Joe and the special pricing for your grading submissions. Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned, when you were talking about the Burbank show a minute ago, you mentioned your son. Mm-hmm. And I know that your son is involved in the business with you now.
Yeah, and very much so. Mm-hmm.
What's that like?
It's fantastic. Yeah, my son works for Google. He's been a consultant for Deloitte, and super sharp. And but the passionate sports fan. Growing up, we'd go to the Hawks games, we'd go to Braves games, whatever. But he loves sports, and so we talk pretty much every night about things he's been buying for us. So he's basically our chief buyer, and he chases. I don't mind sharing. We're buying. We've probably spent $40,000-$50,000 on Ohtani rookies in the last couple months. Raw. We buy them raw, then I screen them, send them in for grading, because I just think he's iconic and he's doing something no one's ever done. And so, but he's kind of our head of buying, and so he knows it better than I do. When we go to shows, I'm like, hey, I'll set up, you go out and here's some money, go buy us some stuff, So, but it's great working with him, and he's also helps us a lot with on the marketing side of things as well. And so, but we have a lot of fun. I told my wife just the other day, I said, as many hours as I work, part of the real fun for me is that I spend so many hours on the phone with Josh, mm-hmm. Talking about, hey, you think we should buy this? And who should we buy next? Should we send these in? Where should we send them? And so it's great strategizing with him. It's very
cool.
rewarding.
It's a neat family business. I got my my two sons are into it as well, not from a professional sense, but
Right.
we just, it's really a honor to be able to do that with your kids,
Yeah.
and to experience cards together with your kids. It's a great, cards are such a good father-son connection thing. Like,
is.
It's, again, sports as well, but cards in particular, because cards, you can talk about them day and night. You can experience them together. You can go to card shows together. You can do business together. With sports, yes, you can go to a game together and experience it, but you're likely never going to do business like, deals within sports. It's just consuming. Where cards, if you do cards with your kids or whatever, I mean, you can set up at a show together and
Right.
act as a dealer, even if that's not what you normally do. You could buy and sell and make fun, have a little bit of fun flipping and, maybe make a little bit of money along the way, or buy raw and grade, as you said, whatever it is, like it's a fun thing that you can pursue with your child.
Yeah, and my son-in-law joined the company about a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's great having him there as well, and he's one of our key people in retail, and so it's great having some family there too.
And hopefully
my whole team's like family to me. But,
hopefully we can find a way to continue to diversify the hobby to get more daughters into it and more girls into it.
That's
I'm
right.
hoping my daughter's into Pokemon. I don't know if she'll ever get into sports cards or not. More so, she's interested a little bit. I think more so because her older brothers are interested. But who
Right.
knows? If she goes on and plays soccer, then maybe she becomes a soccer card collector.
Yep.
Or maybe, so
We're seeing more and more female shoppers coming in.
Yeah.
It's great seeing all these ladies getting into the hobby.
Absolutely. That's exciting. That's really exciting. Okay. So for anybody out there who's listening and they're like, man, this sounds fun. What advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about starting a card shop here in the year 2023?
First thing I would recommend is tread carefully. If this is going to be your livelihood, especially if you're supporting a family, be very careful about just jumping in with both feet until you've got your toes wet. Start setting up at some shows. Try to, start selling online, because all those kind of things are going to be critical to help support the business. Some just, some have just said, well, I'm going to go rent a space and I'm going to try to get me some accounts, and they don't really know the industry yet. And you've got to learn the industry before you think you're going to be a difference maker in the industry. And before you think you're going to be able to start selling and being profitable, you've got to understand, you need to budget. You need to figure out, okay, what is my rent? How much advertising do I think I need to do? How much salary do I hope to be able to pay myself? There's so many things beyond just, hey, I love sports cards and I can go get me a business license and open up. There's a lot of planning, a lot of preparation needed. And so, I jumped in not knowing, I knew the card industry in the late 80s, but I wasn't ready for all the, sales tax forms. Oh, I got to do, there's just so many
employees.
Oh yeah. Employees, workers' comp insurance. There's just
yeah.
so many things about owning a business that are not the fun, cool parts, but that you just got to do them,
I think that it's very sage advice. People have to be really ready for that and thinking through that aspect of it. When in the early 2000s, I opened up eventually 3 Ben & Jerry's ice cream stores in Gainesville, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the first one I opened because a college buddy of mine wanted to open up a business together. And I was thinking, what would be fun to open in Gainesville, Florida? What would be cool to open up right across from the University of Florida that would connect with the college students? That would be a fun place to go hang out with at night, that that I could have my friends and, kind of host them a little bit and, maybe meet some girls there too. And so, the idea of an ice cream store came to mind, as one of the possibilities. And so, I opened up the Ben & Jerry's ice cream store, and I loved ice cream. I was a fan of the Ben & Jerry's brands. Yeah. And when you open up in the business, you quickly go from being a fan and fun and really enjoying the thing to now you're working in it day to day and you're dealing with all of the stresses and all of the business side of it. And it's a lot different ball game. So people have to be ready for that. Just because you love cards and it's a hobby and you're passionate about it does not mean you're actually going to love cards as much if you're
Correct.
operating a store. Because if
Correct.
you operate a store and you're not loving dealing with all the aspects that go into actually operating a business, then your love for cards could actually start to dwindle because the
Yes.
other stuff can bring it down.
Yeah.
So be careful. But if somebody's really thought through those aspects and they're ready to take the entrepreneurial leap, then combining your passion with business can be a great thing.
Yeah.
Just depends on the individual.
Now, on the topic of ice cream shops, my wife and I have talked about that in the past, but I realized I would probably eat up all the profits.
Yes, I ate a lot of the
I would eat
product.
all the profits. So
I ate a lot of the product. Joe, in 2 years, I went from about 210 pounds to 264 pounds.
wow.
Meanwhile,
It's a lot of ice cream.
we had massive cost of goods sold problems. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Where did all of that missing ice cream go? I don't know. I got 54 pounds of it on me at
Yeah,
all times. So yes, that was not so good. I had to make a quick lifestyle change and actually ban myself from eating ice cream every single day. I was making myself milkshakes and everything every day. It was not a good strategy.
I'd be
there.
doing the same thing, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, not a good strategy. But anyway, this has been a lot of fun, Joe. Final question I want to ask: future of your shop. Like how do you see things? You've seen all this evolution and change over the last 32 years. I know the future is hard to predict, but what do you think the next 10 might look like? Like, how do you see yourself evolving as you go forward?
And the question I keep asking myself is, I say, how can we more effectively serve collectors? Both, I mean, it's part of our mission statement, serving collectors both locally and globally, but I always am trying to think of new ways to innovate, new ways to improve the way we serve customers. Because, I believe ultimately if you focus on the serving, the selling will take care of itself. And that's true in any era. It doesn't matter what's trending, that principle holds true. And so I'm always looking at ways we can improve the way we serve, and ways to connect with even more collectors. I always talk about that our store needs to be relational and experiential, not just transactional. We need to be relating to customers. We need to be giving them an experience, not just, hey, come buy your product here. So I'm sure you've been in a Buc-ee's store.
Yeah, 100%.
And I joke, and I've told my coworkers to say, we want to be the Buc-ee's of the baseball card business. We want people to travel that far just for the experience. And so we're always looking at ways to try and improve the layout, we've redone a lot of parts of the store just in the last year. And so going forward, we just hope to, we've added 5 new coworkers in the last year. So as each of them gets more experience and more knowledge, I want to be able to ramp up our ability to buy more. Even when I'm not there, that we can be buying regularly, buying large collections, buying one card at a time, similar to some of the things that Rob's implemented at Burbank, to be able to buy and flip, offer store credit, things like that, and to be able to offer that around the clock in the store.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of improvements. I always love learning from other peers in the industry. There's always, no matter how good I think our store is, there's always someone doing something better. And so I'm always wanting to learn from others in the industry.
That's awesome. This has been great, Joe. I appreciate it. And for everybody out there, make sure to check out GotBaseballCards.com. That is Joe's store. If you're interested in grading your cards with Joe, take advantage of our special partnership by going to sportscardinvestor.com and click on grading in the main menu bar. And of course, if you're ever in the Atlanta area, stop by and say hello to Joe. Appreciate you coming on, Joe.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me, Geoff.
Absolutely. And for everybody out there watching, as a reminder, the full length of these episodes is on YouTube as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can follow the podcast as well. And then short clips are on social media on It's Geoff Wilson on Instagram and TikTok. We appreciate you. We'll see you for the next one. Take care.